Hello, Pawan. Welcome to your reading. First, let's take a look at the identity you are releasing. The cards that came out are the Hermit and the Four of Cups, and the underlying energy is the Star. This is actually a very beautiful combination. What I'm seeing for those of you who chose Pawan is that you've already gone through a long period of solitude, retreat, and inner reflection. Whether this period was something you consciously chose or something life pushed you into because of external circumstances, the Star card as the underlying energy tells me that this phase was not random. It carries a deeper soul purpose, which aligns perfectly with the profound wisdom represented by the Hermit. Interestingly, the Hermit in this card is sitting on top of a mountain, and your indicator image is also a mountain. So the symbolism here is very strong. No matter what exactly happened to your material world in the past, I can really feel your inner state. It feels like you walked a very difficult path. This difficulty may have shown up on the physical level or the emotional level, or both. And this kind of journey is something no one can walk for you, and often no one can even truly share with you. But throughout the process, you held on to an absolute faith within yourself that kept you moving forward. The whole journey feels very much like gritting your teeth while climbing a steep mountain. You believed that once you reached the top, you would finally see the beautiful landscape you had dreamed about, that your ideals would finally become reality. But reality can sometimes be ironic, because when you finally reach the summit, when you achieved what you have been working toward, instead of a view you imagined, what appeared was emptiness, loneliness, confusion, unease, even darkness. There was no magnificent scenery, no sunlight you had been waiting for. And so you started asking yourself, did I really climb this entire mountain just to face endless darkness at the top? So you stayed there for a long time, resting, waiting, doubting, wavering, struggling. All of these emotional states seem to cycle through you again and again. You might even have wondered, logically the sun should have risen by now, so why is it still dark? Where exactly am I? What am I supposed to do next? Was everything I did in the past simply leading me here to some kind of punishment or judgment? Should I have just stayed where I was before? Your indicator image shows the sunrise behind the mountain, which means some of you may still feel like you are in the darkness right now. But remember, the external world often mirrors our inner world. So in truth, you are not waiting for the sun to rise outside of you. You are preparing to light your own lamp within, because that is your real sun. Now at this point, it would be very easy to bring up the idea of seeking answers within, which we often associate with the hermit. And yes, the hermit represents wisdom, and the star represents vision and hope. But today I actually want to highlight something slightly different. With the Four of Cups appearing here, what I see is that you are releasing the version of yourself that needed certainty about everything. And instead, you are allowing yourself to be curious. Curiosity exists within uncertainty. It doesn't carry rigid expectations. Allowing yourself to be curious is actually a very pure form of self-care. Maybe in the past, you were someone who fought your way forward alone, or maybe you followed the path of a role model, or maybe your family supported you along the way. But regardless, you have now reached a different level in life. The star associated with Aquarius energy. It carries forward-looking energy. You didn't reach the top of the mountain simply see the road that others described for you. You came here to rewrite the story. You came here to edit the script of your life. So if you used to be someone who always needed clear answers, someone who hesitated out of fear of making a wrong decision, someone who waited for external permission before allowing yourself to pursue your own desires, then congratulations. I see that you are saying goodbye to the version of yourself. Your spirit is becoming independent, but interestingly, this independence hasn't made you distant or cold. Instead, I see you becoming even more open and friendly, and more aware of how to contribute your natural gifts within a collective without allowing the collective to define who you are. This is such a beautiful energy. Next, let's look at who you are becoming. The cards are Temperance and the High Priestess, with the Moon as the underlying energy. Wow, this combination reveals a lot of deeply introspective personalities. But because the Temperance appears here, you are definitely not a type of person who withdraws from people or avoids relationships. I know some of you may find that hard to believe, especially if you're currently spending a lot of time alone, but trust me, you actually have a very strong ability to connect with others. And that ability comes from soul-level empathy. What does it mean? Empathy usually grows stronger as we gain lived experience. When we've been through something ourselves, we naturally resonate more deeply with people who have experienced similar things. I sense that in the past, you have been developing your empathy through your own personal experiences. But when you reach a certain stage in life, you suddenly unlock collective empathy. In other words, your empathy is no longer limited to specific individuals or situations. Instead, you begin to feel compassion for the collective human experience itself, even for what we normally call evil. And this can be incredibly intense and uncomfortable transformation, especially when you start to feel empathy toward darkness or wrongdoing. It can leave you feeling disoriented. But this shift doesn't come from distorted values. It comes from your ability to perceive the deep layers of pain and fear that humanity has accumulated across generations. Wounds that lie dormant in the collective unconscious. People with strong awareness can recognize their darker impulses and choose to control them. Others may recognize them but still act them out. And many people are simply unaware of them altogether. These borrowed fears and wounds can behave like ticking time bombs, and no one knows when they might explode or what impact it might have. Because of your sensitivity, you might sometimes feel another person's darkness before they even realize it themselves. And that can be frustrating because you feel the energy, but you can't always communicate it directly. You may have tried different ways to adjust yourself internally. At times, you may even wish you could simply label certain things or certain people or situations as purely evil and stand firmly against them. But because you see and feel the deeper layers, it's no longer that simple for you. However, as you gradually moving into a place of neutrality, maintaining a healthy distance from both light and shadow. In everyday life, this may give you the ability to navigate all kinds of environments and personalities. You no longer feel the need to force everything into clear labels or definitions because you understand that many people and situations are far more complex than they appear. At the same time, I also see your intuition, imagination, foresight, and even psychic sensitivity becoming much stronger. You carry a very special aura. Your energy is gentle and flexible, but people naturally respect you. Finally, let's look at how this new version of you will interact with the outside world. The cards we have here are the Two of Cups and a Wheel of Fortune. Underneath, we have Queen of Wands. Pile 1 has very powerful energy here. The most direct message from these cards is about soul connections. And interestingly, I don't feel like there's just one. You may encounter multiple soul connections, either simultaneously or one after another. One of these connections has strong potential to become a long-term partnership or destined relationship. Your astrological charts, zodiac signs, or even Chinese zodiac energies may align quite well. Other connections may appear as collaborations or partnerships in different areas of life. But regardless of the form they take, the Wheel of Fortune confirms that these relationships are fated. The Queen of Wands as the underlying energy also suggests that after a long period of quietness or retreat, you are now making a powerful comeback. If you're currently considering leaving a relationship, these cards also indicate that the timing is right. After releasing what isn't aligned, the right connection may enter your life sooner than you expect. I also feel that every person you meet will bring inspiration into your life. Some of them may even give you positive feedback about strengths you didn't realize you had, and that can be an incredibly empowering experience. The Queen of Wands suggests that people you encounter will actually help you grow your confidence. Your first oracle card we have here is the Mouse Spirit. Tend to the small things. This card tells me that you may be someone who is quite sensitive and easily become mentally tense over small details. And because of this, you might often wait for clear confirmation or a definite sign before taking action. But remember, you also receive the Hermit and the High Priestess, which are both cards of strong intuition. This means you actually have the ability to make decisions for yourself. Earlier, we also have the moon as the underlying energy, combined with the male spirit. It suggests that anxiety can sometimes cause you to doubt or overlook your intuitive guidance. Another message from this card is that you may sometimes underestimate yourself or under-evaluate your influence. What you may not realize is that small things can decide the outcome. Small actions can even create miracles. Through your soul family and people around you, you will gradually realize that the little qualities and gestures you once considered insignificant can actually bring surprises and inspiration to others. Your second oracle card is the seventh house, partnerships. Your relationships are about to change or expand. It's possible that certain planetary movements are activating your seventh house. This aligns perfectly with the appearance of the Two of Cups, especially if you haven't met your soulmate yet. This card suggests very promising potential ahead. Beyond romantic partnerships, the seventh house can also represent all kinds of relationships. For those of you in competitive environments, you may have a dynamic relationship with your rivals, almost like love and a rivalry at the same time. But the love and respect actually outweigh that rivalry. Interestingly, some of the most meaningful feedback about your own strength may even come from your competitors. If you recently experienced challenges in relationships, things may begin to resolve smoothly after Mercury retrograde. And if you've been going through a difficult period in life, I also see that the partner or collaborator you're about to meet, regardless of the form the relationship takes, could bring good fortune and valuable resources or good opportunities into your life. This is very beautiful energy here. I want to wish everyone who chose Pile 1 all the very best, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello Pile 2, welcome to your reading. First, let's take a look at the identity you are releasing. The cards that came out are the Eight of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords, with the Ace of Cups as the underlying energy. This is actually a very beautiful energy. For those of you who chose Pile 2, I get the feeling that you come from a relatively supportive background. Even if you weren't born into a noble or wealthy family, your family likely invested resources in you, or at least stood firmly on your side to some extent. Whatever kind of upbringing or education you received, I can sense that you naturally carry a refined and a noble aura. There is something about your energy that feels elegant, calm, and slightly detached. In your past, I see that you've been very diligent and dedicated to your craft. You've quietly and steadily cultivated your skills in your field. Because of this deep focus, you often give off an impression of someone who doesn't compete with the world. It's almost as if the chaos of the outside world doesn't really shake you. No matter what distractions or noise exist around you, you tend to maintain your own rhythm and remain very grounded in your path. Your persistence and insight have naturally shaped high standards within you, as well as a sense of leadership. Whether it's toward yourself or toward the people and environments you interact with, you hold an ideal standard in your heart. But this ideal isn't unrealistic or naive. You can actually see the possibility of this standard becoming real, even if achieving it is difficult. And because you believe it's possible, you refuse to compromise. It reminds me a little of Venus as a warrior of love and beauty. In many ways, you are the guardian of your own ideals. Your dedication is beautiful and your ideals are beautiful, and you are willing to fight for that beauty. You are very much like your indicator image, a magnificent tree standing alone on a vast grassland. Your presence makes others feel safe and supported. In a very natural and graceful way, you protect the ideals that matter to you. I also sense that many areas of your life carry a strong sense of discipline and structure. In many situations, you are both a decision maker and executor. No matter what situations life has thrown your way, you've always managed to handle them elegantly and calmly. You are the kind of person who never seems to fall apart, at least from the outside. The Pile 2, you truly are a very high-quality presence. From your appearance to your mannerisms, from your communication style to your abilities, your outer and inner worlds feel very aligned. But even someone as capable as you, I see that you are now releasing the version of yourself who felt responsible for doing everything simply because you were capable of doing it, regardless of your personal desires. With the Ace of Cups as the underlying energy, this shows a shift in your personal identity. You are moving from, I want to take care of everything for everyone, to, I want to take care of myself first. I see someone who used to be all capable beginning to soften. You are becoming lighter, more relaxed, more emotional open. Now let's look at who you are becoming. The cards here are the Tower and the Moon, with the Two of Swords as the underlying energy. These are really powerful cards. Earlier I mentioned that you often appear to be someone who never collapses under pressure, and now we see the Tower. The Tower represents structures, expectations, systems, and standards that are unstable or unreasonable, and most importantly, these usually come from the outside world. You may feel that you personally agree with some of these standards, but with the Two of Swords as the underlying energy, it shows that this agreement didn't come from your intuition, but rather from rational ideas shaped during your upbringing. Over time, these ideas were gradually built into your mindset. What's interesting is that many of these external expectations are actually contradictory. The Moon shows that you are now beginning to understand a deeper message hidden within your rich and complex emotions. The Moon represents feminine energy and intuitive sensitivity. You have been like a container, holding the pain and fear that others were unwilling to face. And this explains why you were able to handle so many responsibilities in the past. You had a capability, but you were also carrying other people's emotional burdens. Those fears and wounds became the fuel that pushed you to fix everything. Even though the Queen of Swords appears to be someone with a clear mind and a strong independence, the Moon reveals that, emotionally, your boundaries were not always clearly defined. When problems arose, even when they were not truly your responsibility, you would continue thinking about them endlessly. You might unconsciously step in to help, even if you were not the person directly involved. You may have interpreted this as empathy, but in reality, you were sometimes absorbing other people's problems as if they were your own. True empathy actually involves recognizing the boundary between yourself and others. This spread shows me that you are now becoming someone who can see your own life more clearly. You are transforming a kind of blurred love into something healthier. Respect for both your own boundaries and the boundaries of others. And here's the interesting part. You don't actually need to change who you are. You don't need to develop new traits or unlock hidden potential. You simply need to recognize what is not your responsibility. Unless your indicator image again, you are that magnificent tree on the open grassland. Because of your strength and beauty, birds naturally come and build nests in your branches. When storms arrive, the bird's responsibility is to build a strong nest for itself. This is not your responsibility. You don't need to reshape your branches to suit the bird's needs. And you certainly don't need to fear that the storm will shape your own foundation. Maybe this example isn't perfect, but I believe you understand what I'm trying to say. Earlier we saw the Ace of Cups as the underlying card, which carries a very pure and simple energy. What I see now is that you are beginning to simplify and clear out emotional intensity in your life, and you may realize that many of those emotions never truly belong to you in the first place. And finally, let's look at how this new version of you will interact with the outside world. We have the Five of Cups and the Five of Swords. At the bottom of the deck, we have Nine of Wands. This is truly a deep and transformative spread. Even though the cards may feel heavy, this process is actually very beneficial for you. Pile 2. You may need to prepare yourself emotionally because your honesty with yourself may begin to reveal illusions of harmony that exist in your life. Once you stop being the emotional container and emotional provider for others, some relationships will naturally begin to fade away. Certain people may even criticize the changes they see in you. It may feel like this. You've been taken advantage of for a long time, and the moment you stop compromising, the people who benefited from your sacrifices suddenly become upset. This is truly a very intense emotional cleansing process, and I want to be honest, it won't always feel comfortable. The reason it hurts is because your heart used to be so full. It carried everyone and everything. But when you start returning those problems to their rightful owners, your inner world may suddenly feel empty. There can even be a sense of loss. And this explains why some unhealthy environments or relationships can be so difficult to leave. The Queen of Swords shows that you are not someone who lacks independence. The challenge is simply processing this emptiness that follows emotional clearing, especially for people who feel deeply. But in the Five of Cups, we can see the Two of Cups standing behind. The Two of Cups represent a pure soul connection. This could be a relationship that is about to enter your life, or one that already exists. Its presence confirms that you are someone who truly has the capacity for love. And seeing the Nine of Wands as the underlying energy makes me feel very emotional. Earlier we mentioned the image of Venus, the warrior, and this card gives me the same feeling. Even after experiencing emotional upheaval and clearing your emotional world, you did not collapse. You did not become bitter or fall into a victim mindset. You still believe in love. You remain graceful and composed. But this time, you're truly fighting for yourself, protecting your standards in the name of love. If we go back to your indicator image again, the scene feels like you are simply removing pests from your tree. The tree itself was never the problem. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to clear away what is unhealthy. The animal spirit card we have here is the cat spirit. Claim your independence. When this card appears, it tells you that your instincts and your intuition are sharp and trustworthy. You can absolutely rely on yourself. This message strongly echoes the tarot spread. On an emotional level, you now need greater independence, not allowing others to rely on you excessively, and not becoming overly dependent on others either. You're learning to build healthy emotional boundaries based on self-respect and self-love. You have your own responsibilities and your own life path, and part of this growth is learning to let go of other people's responsibilities so they don't interfere with your own. Your second oracle card is the fourth house, Roots. Combined with the Moon card, this suggests that memories connected to your past or even past lives may surface recently. You may feel a mysterious pull toward your origins. Even if you are physically living in your hometown, you may feel a strange sense of longing for a distant or undefined place. You might also become particularly interested in history during this period, whether it's global events or family stories. Your understanding of security and belonging is evolving, and this shift may influence how you think about home, family, and property. With Jupiter now moving direct in Cancer, you can expect your emotional flow to become much smoother. So to everyone who chose Pile 2, I'm wishing you all the very best, and I'll see you in the next reading. Hello Pile 3, welcome to your reading. First, let's take a look at the identity you are releasing. The cards that came out are the Justice and the Queen of Pentacles, with the Nine of Pentacles as the underlying energy. Alright, I do see a slight overlap with Pile 2, but there is an important difference. In Pile 2, the theme was emotional support, while for Pile 3, the theme is material support. It's very clear that in the past, when it came to resources, responsibilities, and stability, you have often been the provider and the nurturer. But now I see that you are gradually stepping away from that identity. This doesn't necessarily mean there were people in your life who were draining you like emotional vampires, although we can't completely rule that out. But I sense more strongly is simply the natural completion of a life cycle. It's like retiring from a long career, or children growing up and becoming independent, or a business contract coming to an end, or receiving an insurance payout, or preparing to start a family. Situations like that. And from this message, we can also see a deeper layer. Your new identity will no longer be built upon the resources or responsibilities or services you used to provide. Let me give you an example. If you used to run a business, the identity you show the world might have been like a CEO or director. But once that business is transferred or completed, you naturally step away from that role and begin forming a new identity. For some of you, if you truly carry too many responsibilities or provided too many resources in the past, the appearance of justice suggests that things will now rebalance. I also see that some of you may become independent from a previous partnership, or change your contractual relationships or business partners. And again, this doesn't necessarily come from a dramatic conflict. It may simply be that the timing is right. Overall, the three cards carry very steady and mature energy. You're not living the past because something was wrong with it, or because it caused you harm. Instead, it simply feels like the right moment to explore something new. And because the energy here is so grounded and stable, your decision isn't impulsive or reckless. It's something that comes from clarity and wisdom. Your indicator image is a ship, and I really feel that you're about to set sail on a new journey, expanding your horizons. Even though I may not know exactly what you will do next, I honestly feel happy for you. There is a sense of excitement here, like your next chapter in life is going to be very colorful and fulfilling. So truly congratulations, Pile 3. Next, let's look at who you are becoming. The cards are Ten of Pentacles, Eight of Cups. At the bottom of the deck, we have Knight of Cups. This is truly beautiful energy. I actually see several different things emerging here. One very intuitive feeling is that you may begin to take spontaneous trips more often, those let's just go kinds of journeys. Your abundance and stability are not becoming chains that tie you down. Instead, they are becoming the confidence that allows you to explore freely. If you're single, I also see the possibility of beautiful encounters. The person you meet may carry a gentle and romantic energy. I also see some of you trying things you may never have done before or never had the opportunity to do before. Things like horseback riding or soaking in outdoor hot springs or even beauty and body treatments like plastic surgeries. It feels like stepping slightly outside your comfort zone. But interestingly, these experiences don't actually feel uncomfortable at all. In fact, they bring you joy and excitement. And some of you may also adopt pets, perhaps even multiple kinds of animals. There's almost a playful energy here, like having wealth and stability, simply so you can care for animals and give them a good life. And for some people, this could even involve joining or creating an animal rescue organization, helping find suitable adopters for pets. I also see that some of you may move to a quieter place, away from the noise of the city, and family and friends may come visit you from time to time. Or perhaps you start a slow travel lifestyle, living in different places and experiencing various cultures and environments. The overall feeling of this pile is honestly wonderful. Your cards carry so much nurturing and abundant energy. The change you are making isn't because your past was negative, it's simply a shift toward a different experience. So even if you did go through difficult events in the past, those events didn't change your core nature. Your decision now isn't a reaction to pain. Instead, your cards simply radiate abundance, independence, strength, and certainty. You truly have the ability to create a life and experiences you desire, and when it comes to pursuing what you want, I don't see hesitation or inner conflict. This is very powerful energy. And finally, let's see how this new version of you will interact with the outside world. We have the Seven of Cups and the Unknown card. At the bottom of the deck, we have Three of Cups. Truly beautiful. Pile 3 has such a gentle and soft vibration. Your life in the next chapter may feel dreamlike, joyful, and relaxed. You may notice that surprises appear in your life from time to time, and interestingly, you may even sense that the surprise is coming before it happens. Yet you won't feel the need to know exactly what form it will take. The Seven of Cups also connects nicely with what we mentioned earlier. You'll be trying many different experiences. Just like your indicator image of the ship exploring the ocean, you are truly expanding your horizons. And the interesting thing is, you won't feel the need to extract some profound lesson from every experience. Instead, you'll simply enjoy life itself, appreciating the different ways life expresses beauty and wonder. In terms of relationships, I also see very positive social energy. These connections could be new or they could already exist in your life. Your life won't feel overly quiet, but it won't feel chaotic either. Instead, I see you surrounded by people with a warm and harmonious atmosphere. Some of you may also join a small organization or club, perhaps something more private or niche. It looks like a close-knit group where you can get along with others very comfortably. Interestingly, I also see a scene where some of you might even go on a cruise vacation. Even though the world situation can sometimes feel uncertain, I still see this image clearly. And on this journey, you might meet friends you connect with deeply. So overall, the way this new version of you interact with the outside world feels light, friendly, and joyful. This energy is quite different from the more formal and serious image associated with the Justice and the Queen of Pentacles. Your past identity was wonderful, but I can feel that you will actually enjoy this new version of yourself even more because now you are more relaxed, more free, and more at ease. Your animal spirit card is the White Raven Spirit. Trust in the magic. This card delivers a very straightforward message. The things you dream about, even the ones that feel impossible, may actually come true. The key is believing that they can. The universe is operating in its own mysterious way. Just like the unknown card, you don't need to understand every step of the process. You simply need to enjoy this beautiful outcome when it appears. If some of the things I described earlier resonate with your dreams, but you've been telling yourself they are unrealistic due to practical reasons, then this card is actually a blessing. And a way to receive that blessing is simply to trust that it can manifest. You can also start noticing angel numbers or repeating signs in your life recently, and these are not coincidences. They are confirmation messages from your angels and spirit guides. You are truly loved and supported. Your second oracle card is the South Node, Light Depths. This is card number 42, also adds up to 6, so some of you may have been seeing the angel number 666 recently. This card strongly echoes the theme of this reading. Your transformation is happening very naturally because you have already cleared many karmic depths. You've completed certain repeating life lessons. Now you are ready to begin a new experience, create new connections, and move towards your true life purpose. You are not abandoning your past self. Everything you would experience before has actually built a strong foundation for the life you are about to create. And I genuinely love the energy of this pile. It feels calm, mature, and peaceful. Even if you experienced dramatic moments in the past, I don't sense resistance or bitterness in your spirit. Instead, I feel anticipation and openness toward the future. So to everyone who chose pile 3, I wish you all the very best, and I see you in the next reading.